Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Alisa binti Aznam from ADE620. In this video, I would like to share about my progress Padlet, BBM, ABM and BBB that I am going to use in my teaching and learning, and how I am going to use this all media in my teaching and learning. So let's start. Hi guys, now I am going to share about my progress Padlet ADE620 for the first project. As you can see here, in the first column is have infographic about my topic and about my plan on how I'm going to conduct my lesson in the class. For the next column is list of the activity. Here I have stated the activity that I'm going to use in my teaching and learning. And the next column is media that I will use in every activity. For the set induction, I will use the artworks. Activity number 2, I will use reference, book, handouts, and crossword puzzle sheet. And for activity number 3, I will use flashcard and maju paper. The advantage for teacher using this all media for the activity number 1 is easy to carry and can be recycled in the lesson. Activity number 2, easy to explain to students about the difference of printing. For activity number 3, easy to explain to students about the material used. The advantages for students for activity number 1 can help students to see the differences between the artworks and to maintain the student interest. Activity number 2, students can easily understand about the type of printing and help students to recap and remember about the topic. For activity number 3, can help students to remember each tools in every types of printing. In this activity that I have did to them, it needs to have some characteristic in 21st century learners, which is critical thinking, communication and collaboration with people when they're doing some games or answer some quiz that I have give it to them. And this is how to motivate students based on the ARCH model. For the A, before start the lesson, I'm going to show them some example of artworks. For the R, by using the pictures of flashcard or real object that related to the topic. For the C, ask them to answer the crossword puzzle that related to the lesson. And for the S, give them some rewards or marks if they can answer the question that we give to them. And for the technology use, I'm going to use the YouTube as a new media to attract student attention and maintain student interest about the topic. For the traditional media, I'm going to use printed handouts or worksheet. And for the visual, I'm going to use the real object and the picture or flashcard. This is my traditional media that I will choose to use in my activity. For the activity number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay, the reason I choose, I have stated here. For activity number 1, to help student understanding through artworks. Activity number 2, to help student understand easily about the lesson. Activity number 3, to make easier for teacher to use in teaching and learning and easy to test the students' memory about the lesson. And the next column is the media and the reason I have did in infographic here about the reason why I choose this media. And this is the purpose of using visuals in the lesson. And this and the title categories of visuals that I use is realistic because I want to show the image of the object that related to the lesson and make to students to remember easily about the topic. And for the last column is the product that I produce to use in my lesson. That's all about my progress palettes. Thank you. The media that I choose to use in my teaching and learning is, for the set induction, I will use the artworks. Here, I have 3 types of artworks that use different types of technique in printing. So I will show to you all what the artworks that I have. Artworks number 1 is artworks that use intaglio technique. Artworks number 2, silk screen. And artworks number 3, lino cut. I will show these 3 artworks to my students before I start my lesson about types of printing. Okay, next we move to the lesson, which is we're going to learn about types of printing. The media that I choose in this lesson is handouts. I will use these handouts to teach my students about the types of printing. In these handouts, will help students to understand clearly about the topic. After done about this lesson, I'm going to test my students' understanding. So I'm going to do some quiz about the topic. So here I have provided some crossword puzzle to my student to answer regarding to the topic that I have teach them. In this cross puzzle is about types of printing. Next, we go to the lesson number 2, which is activity number 3. I'm going to teach them about the materials and tools that we'll use in printing. In this lesson, I will use the flash card and the original tools to teach my students about the material and tools that use in printing regarding to the types of printing. From this lesson, also, we're going to use these flashcards to play some games that I call it as pick and match games. So, after learns about the tools in printing, we're going to play some games. Now we move to on how I am going to use all the media that I choose to use in my teaching and learning. Okay, for the set induction, I will use the outwards, right? So I am going to show the is 3 upwards, one by one, and let students to define the differences between the upwards. Okay, after that we move to the media that I use in my lesson, which is type of printing. I'm going to use the handouts and reference book. These handouts and reference book, I will pass this before I start my lesson, so that student can refer to the handouts and the reference book to get a clear information about the topic. Okay, so next we move to the next lesson, which is we are going to learn about tools and material that used in printing. So here I have prepared some flashcards about the tools and material that used in printing according to the types of printing. Okay, so I will show this flashcard one by one and tell them the name of the tools or materials. Okay, after done learn about this all material that used in printing, we are going to play some games that I call it as pick and mesh. Pick is the student needs to pick one flashcard here from here, and then if they pick one from this, they need to paste the flashcard on the maju paper that I have provided, based on the types of printing, which is here we have 4 columns of types of printing, which is block kayu or lino. It is a same category, which is cetakan timbul, and the second one is goresan acid, which is intaglio or etching, and the third is lithography, and the last one is suterasari. So from these tools that they have picked, they need to paste by using the tape. They need to paste here and place it to the right color that I have provided. So the game will be repeat. It's like that until all the flashcard is finished. It's all based on this maju paper. Okay, that's all about on how I'm going to use these all materials. So that's all from me. Thank you.